Here's how I use the Cory Wong Neural DSP amp to get the perfect worship guitar sound in my home studio.
We're gonna shout out your praise. God, come and have your way.
Next to Jesus himself, I think the most talked about thing in the worship team, worship band community is electric guitar, and more specifically, electric guitar tone. On every Facebook post, it seems like Facebook groups, YouTube channels, everybody loves worship guitar tone, and I'm a fan too. So in this video, I wanted to walk through my #1 favorite go-to amp modeler, and that is the Cory Wong edition of the Neural DSP amp simulators. I love this plugin. I've been using it for years, and I honestly use it for all my electric guitar parts, so I thought in this video I would walk through the different sounds, the different tonality I'm getting out of the amp, because I know that if you use it in your home studio, you will love it too, because it's very simple to use, very versatile, and there's a ton of built-in effects that just make it work right out of the box. And this plugin is super affordable. I've never seen it more than $150 or so, and there's always sales and there's always coupon codes. I think I got it myself with a coupon code from another YouTuber. Very easy to get and simple to use. And I found, honestly, as I've done production over the years, until I put electric guitar on, especially worship songs, but I do a lot of rock, a lot of sync kind of production. There's a lot of elements where guitar, electric guitar specifically, is a vital element. But once I start adding the electric guitar, and it just really brings the song to life, not just because it's human played, but just something about the energy of electric guitar is just exciting. And I know that this could be a really great and useful tool for you as you're creating your own worship music. Hey, I'm Brian, a worship leader, songwriter, artist, and producer, and I create content on this channel to help other people do what we do at the highest level possible. So whether you're just starting out in music production or you're a seasoned veteran, I believe that this amp is one of those amps that just helps make it easy, keeps things creative, and you don't need a lot of stuff. All you need is your electric guitar, a 1/4-inch cable, and an interface, and the Cory Wong amp will handle the rest. So let's jump into Logic and I'll show you how I use it. So here's a session for a song called Shake that I wrote with some friends, and we're doing it at my church. So there's a bunch of electric guitar parts, so I thought it'd be a good way to showcase what this amp can do. So I'm gonna start off with these basic kind of diamond chords here, so you can hear this is my Gretsch semi-hollow body guitar. Just a basic, boring, DI sounding guitar. So when you first open up the amp, you'll hear right away, gives it so much more body. So I'm gonna go to the preset that I used for this track, which is called Fat Strat. So in the context of this song, gave it kind of a nice full sound. So up here, the main controls, obviously after you pick your presets, you can cycle through whatever you like. If you have a pedal, you can actually attach it and control it right through your DAW, which is nice. But then this first pedal section, so you've got your enveloper here, which is like your wah, which for this one we don't need that, but you can actually control that, and you can trigger your wah to control different things. So the first section we're using here is the compressor section, which in this preset is already on. Crank up the tone a little bit more. The next one over is this overdrive, the tuber, which if you're familiar with the Tube Screamer, a very popular overdrive pedal. So there we go, some distortion. Really dial it up. You can actually get a lot of drive. And then over here, this is a fuzz pedal, which gives it way more, but for this, I'll show you what it sounds like, but we're not gonna be using that for this. It's a really great sound. Next section over is our different amps. I don't really mess with this because I like the way that this amp sounds with this Fat Strat preset, but you can dial in your volume, you can dial in more EQ. I might actually pull a little bass out, let's see. There we go. Nice and full, and then obviously treble, and then the master volume again, and then add some more presence. And then the out level, and then you can even add or take away drive here on the amp itself. It's really, I mean, it just sounds great. So far down the line, next up we've got EQ. So I've got a full range of EQ here, which is awesome. So I'll usually cut out low end that we don't need for electric. That sounded nice. And again, this is all within the amp. We're not having to do any additional plugins at this point. You can adjust the microphones you're using. So right over here, you'll see it's currently a ribbon mic. So you can cycle through. Dynamic mic. Another dynamic. Condenser. I love this Ribbon 150. These are more like effects pedals. So we've got a chorus effect, which I really like to use this subtly a lot. Kind of gives a little bit of warble. May not use it for this one. Then you've got delay, which has got everything you'd really want in a delay pedal all kind of built in, including a mix knob, which is really important. Might try it on 8s. Of course, you just dial this in to fit your song, but it automatically is mapping to the tempo, which is really helpful. Probably a quarter is the way to go. Just give it a little extra energy. And then you can do, low cut. You can really dial in every aspect of this delay, even splitting up the sides. And again, it's doing a lot of the work here for us through the preset, which is great. The feedback is how long the delay will repeat for. And then you even got a really great reverb pedal here, giving a little bit of breath. So I'll turn it off and put it back on. So I think that sounds great. We'll hear it in context here. So as you can see, just by taking a couple seconds to dial in the tone, it's a really nice and full tone for worship. And the thing that's great about this amp, and I feel like is my favorite part, is I feel like it's really creative. It sounds very good, and you can cycle through all of those presets and find the perfect tone really for any song. So I want to jump in and give you a few more variations so you can kind of hear how these parts stack together. Next up, we've got what I would consider to be electric guitar 2, just a kind of a palm muted, chunky thing. So again, you kind of see we've got the tone boosted. Now the blend here is how much compression and how much on its own, but I like to kind of crank compression for electric guitar like this, kind of holds it all together, and then the compressor itself is cranked up pretty well, and then we can actually change the overall volume there. You can see here I'm using the tube screamer, dial up a little bit. So this is the amount, and this is the tone of the amount. So you could get real nice and bitey on the strings there. And you can hear it just sounds really creative. Don't have anything there on the fuzz. Next here, it's got the same amp settings. EQ, I've got this pretty flat, dialing down some of the low end there. I like to push high end on this amp because it just sounds good to me. Kind of clear out some of that muddiness. The microphone, probably the Ribbon 160 in this case. And then here, I think I've got the delay off. I might put a little chorus on here. Just a little bit. This adds a lot of warble. This is less. That sounds cool like that. I don't actually have any delay on here, but let's add some in. Let's see what we can do. That's pretty cool like that. Roll off some of the low end. It's essentially a send. You're only affecting the overall part, which is really helpful. And then we've got some reverb here. So then I'll play it for you in context. I'm gonna pan this one to the right. This is the same guitar and essentially the same treatment of the guitar, but a little bit different, and it's really creating a wall of sound. I know the rest of the instruments are there, but we're gonna go through a couple more parts as we build up this guitar sound, but you're already hearing it come together in such a significant way. Just using this one Cory Wong amp, it just brings it all together so quick. So I've got this lead part here that I'll play you as is, but I wanna go through, do a little different in this one and show you how the presets can really bring something to life. So here's what we got by itself. Just simple, my Jimmy Eat World middle style guitar part. So let's just go through some presets and see what we can get built in without doing anything. So it's kind of trippy. So I think already that sounds pretty awesome, just like that. Lead Strat, I mean, we can keep going through them, but all of these are sounding awesome to me right away. So it's a clean tone. Very clean. Nirvana what? So that's a cool sound. So just like that, we're already dialing it in. Such a cool sound. So this mostly with this fuzz. So let's stick with this one. Dial this fuzz tone back a little bit. Dial up the compressor. Still dial this back a little bit more. Let's go over here to the EQ section, pull out some of this muddiness. One thing I've learned with electric guitars is you can really EQ them a lot. And in the mix, in the context of the mix, it makes a big difference because it doesn't really matter how it sounds alone. And I know right now we're doing it alone, so it's a little bit out of context. But when it comes to the mix, you can really EQ them pretty heavily and it still sounds great. So let's add some delay here. Tap tempos in place, awesome, and then some reverb here. And it's cool if you notice if I push it all the way to the right, all the way up, because it basically treats it like a send. So it's just, because we have this blend knob, it's really helpful to be able to dial it in, right? Let's add some chorus just because I do love this chorus up pedal. There it is. So I'm going to play our 3 guitars we've done so far. So as you can hear, we've gone from literally just a DI guitar sound to a what I would consider very professional, very polished sound, and just dialing in really simply. Like I said, you know, one of the big things that you see and people talk about so much in the worship space is worship guitar tone. It could be so confusing. It could be so overwhelming. Like, what amp do you get? What string do you get? What guitar do you get? How do you set up your guitar? What pedals should you have? You know, should you get a Helix? Should you get a Quad Cortex? And yes, you know, this is in the studio context, but I've bounced down these tracks and we're using them to supplement our live recordings already. However, the Quad Cortex is made by Neural DSP, so bringing these tones to life would not be that difficult if we wanted to do it that way, but I wanted to kind of talk through exactly how we do it in the context of the studio. So I'm gonna go to the chorus and kind of hear how all of these different tones have come together. Again, this is all played with the same guitar and the same amp. Obviously, we dial in each guitar part with the Cory Wong amp, but most of them are in the similar preset. And just like with all the other elements, at least in Logic, you can create presets that you like and then make them recalled sound. For instance, here's this guitar part here. I call it Greta Chords Right because Greta's the name of my Gretsch. So all you do is open your library, go down here, just like with any other sound and preset, you hit save. Let's call it Greta Rocks 1. So now it'll change the name on this channel strip. And then anytime I want to pull this guitar part back up, I go here and I can grab it and add it to all of my guitar parts. So now anytime I want to recall this sound, and of course you tweak per project, however, you can quickly and easily recall your favorite guitar tones all through this amp. So that's awesome. So here's the sound of, here's all the guitars kind of coming together, and I'll do some soloing of all the guitars together because there's definitely a bunch of parts I've written here, but this song kind of needs it. So here's just in context of the whole mix. Here's just the guitars. And back in the full mix.
We're gonna shout out your praise. God, come and have your way.
So as you can see, using the Cory Wong Neural DSP amp couldn't be easier. You don't have to get lost in all of the different nuances of guitars, but we still get a very professional sound because ultimately that's all anybody really wants, is just to have a really good, consistent guitar sound, and this amp definitely provides that. And if you're looking to create high quality demos and releases from your own home studio, I've got something for you. I've got my demo production workshop replay, a little bit more than an hour of me building the first day of a demo production, all working towards creating some stems for worship and in the future for release. So if you want to get that for free, just click the link below and let me know what is your go-to guitar amp for worship. Which one do you like to use? Comment below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you on the next one.